Hi, everyone. Welcome to the fourth of our six series remote masterclasses that the Taylor School at Mississippi College is hosting this year. Our clinician today is Hannah Creviston, who's on the faculty at Arizona State University, where she's a piano area coordinator, group piano coordinator, and director of their community music program. We're very happy to have her today, and we will get started with Olivia.
Well done, Olivia. Thank you so much. Before I start talking to you, I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining, and thank you to Dr. Rushing for inviting me to do this. So one of the things that I really like about these books is they get you playing in 3/4 a lot sooner than some other method books. And 3/4 can be really difficult to feel, but you're doing a really, really good job with that. So congratulations on a really nice steady beat and a good flow throughout the piece. Now, because we're on technology, if I start working with you on something that you think might just be because of the electronics, the technology, you tell me. You can say, I think I did that and it just didn't come through, okay? But one of the things I want to work with you on today is the left hand. And sometimes your left hand played those staccatos beautifully. And sometimes, do you know what it did? When it had a staccato mark?
It didn't.
Okay, I'm going to play something two ways. Yeah, good guess. Okay, I'm going to play something two ways, and you tell me what the difference is, okay? Here's number one. Here's number two.
The first one, your left hand holded it, and the second one, your left hand did the staccato right.
Yeah. Now, this is a very common waltz or 3/4 feel articulation. So it's very natural that your ear hears that and wants to do that. But we're going to see if we can be a little bit more picky with what's on the page. So let's start in measure 5. You see where measure 5 is? The snowball fights. And I want you to see if you can give me a really nice, clear staccato. You can, and I knew you could because you did it most of the time. There were just a few times. Now, the other thing we're going to do to make this feel more like a waltz, do you know what a waltz is?
Yes. A dance?
What do you think? A dance, yeah, exactly. It's a dance. Now, the cool thing about a waltz is it has 3 beats, which is one of my favorite meters. We already talked about that. And the most important beat, we have 3 beats. Take a guess, which one is the most important? 1, 2, or 3?
1.
That's a good guess. Do you have someone giving you the answers? Or were you actually guessing? That is a good guess. 1 is the most important. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit heavier sound on the left hand. just like you're doing, but then my right hand plays on beats 2 and 3, and I'm going to make those a little bit quieter, a little bit lighter, so like this. Heavy, light, light, heavy, light, light, heavy, light, light. Can you do that? And you can just play the measure 5 over and over. You don't have to worry about playing the whole line. Olivia, do you think you can make your right hand even quieter? Let me hear. Very good. Now, the tricky thing with doing 2 different levels is we have to make sure our tempo doesn't change. So now we're going to play the whole line, and I want you to see if you can think of, let's see, we're thinking of left hand being staccato, left hand being a little bit heavier, right hand being a little bit lighter, and keeping the same tempo. Okay, do you want me to demonstrate one time? Okay. Now your turn. How do you think those 4 things went?
Good.
What do you think we could do better if we do it again?
Keeping the tempo.
Okay, so maybe should we slow down the tempo a little bit so you have time to think about those other 3 things? Okay, let's try it like this. How do you think that time went?
Good. Really good.
Yeah, I think that was better. I think that was better. Let's do it one more time and see if now can I add something to make it even harder? Okay, now we're going to do all the things that we're working on, but we're going to make each measure get just the tiniest little bit louder. So measure 1 is going to be measure 2, or sorry, this would be measure 6 will be measure 7. So each measure gets a little bit louder. And you can do it just like I did it, where you take a break in between. So do measure 5. Now measure 6, a little bit louder. And measure 7 a little bit louder, but keeping the right hand softer than the left hand. What thing did we forget that time?
Getting loud.
Do you know? No, actually, you got louder. Your left hand connected, though. Or it sounded to me like it connected. So let's just do measures 7 and 8, the holiday cheer. I think it connected again. Can you make that left hand nice and staccato? Let's put all three of those little sections together. So we have softer, a little louder, and loudest. Your staccatos were lovely, and I heard a wonderful crescendo going through that line. Really, really nice. Now I'm throwing a lot of different things at you. You're not going to master all of them right this second, but as you keep practicing this piece, and we're going to go backwards now and look at the first line. As you keep practicing this piece, think of the beat 1 as most important, and then beats 2 and 3 as a little bit lighter. So, can you think what line 1 will sound like if we make beat 1 heavier and beats 2 and 3 a little lighter? Can you hear that in your head, what it would sound like?
No, not really.
What if I won't make you get up and dance. If we were in person, I might make you get up and dance. But what if you do, no, you know what? Okay, so it's good we're not in person. What if we go like this? What if we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can you do that? 1, 2, 3. Just on your lap, just like what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, and make sure your 2 and 3 are lighter. So heavy, light, light, heavy, light, light, heavy, light, light. So when I play it, I'm going to have 1, heavy, light, light, heavy, light. So it's not an accent, but there's a little bit more weight, a little bit more sound on the first beat of each measure. Can you play just that first line? You stopped and it looked like you were thinking about something. What were you thinking about?
I just forgot what note to put my hand on.
That happens to all of us quite regularly. Let's do it one more time. And can you even say, heavy light, light, heavy light, light, heavy light, light. That was much better. Much better. Did you hear a difference, or does it sound the same?
I heard a difference.
You heard a difference, yeah. Do it again, just so it gets stuck in your mind like that. That was beautiful. Yeah, and make sure. So one of the things with this one is we have whole phrases that are legato, and then we have whole phrases that are staccato, and then we have them going back and forth, right? So be very careful that you are really particular about those. That was really great. Let's move on to, okay, what's the dynamic that you've been playing so far at the beginning?
What did you say?
What's the dynamic marking that you have at the beginning?
M, F, mezzo forte.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what that means in English?
No.
It's like medium loud. Do you think you've been playing medium loud? Yeah, I think so. Now, find for me measure 17. What happens at measure 17?
Let me find Here.
Mm-hmm. You see
It
that
turns
P right there?
It turns
And what does that mean?
Soft.
Soft. Very good. Now, I understand you have a sibling, right? If you're trying to tell your mom or dad a secret that you don't want your sibling to hear, are you going to say it out really loudly?
No.
Or no, you're gonna. Right? So, can you start at measure 17 and can you make it even softer? Have a secret. What's the secret? They're peeking at the presence. So you don't want anyone to know because you're not supposed to be doing that.
Hold on. My hands are in the wrong position.
That's okay. Do you want to get started? Find a place where it's comfortable for you to start. But just remember, when you get there, really quiet. You can keep going. Yep, keep going. I'll stop you right there. What happens at measure 25?
Mezzo forte again.
Back to mezzo forte. Did you have a difference from soft to medium loud in your sound, did you feel? Yeah, I think you did a really nice job with the soft. I think, and it might just be the connection, the technology. I think you can make your soft even softer. So that's something you can play around with. Dr. Rushing, I didn't look at the time when we started, so I can keep going or I can wrap up or whatever you would like to do. Okay, we'll keep going for a little bit if you're up for it, Olivia. You good? Okay. So can you start measure 17? I'll ask you this. Have you ever done something you didn't want your parents to find out about? Or are you a perfect angel? A couple times maybe? Now, just like when you don't want your sibling to know something, if you don't want your parents to know something, you're going to be really sneaky, right? And now we're on to talking about really exciting things, so we get loud again. Can you start wherever it's comfortable for you, but around measure 17, really quiet. Excellent job, and I love your ending. Your ending is so energetic and perfect for this piece. So Olivia, you're doing such a good job with this piece. As you keep playing it, there are a few things that we've talked about that you can keep working on in all of the sections, okay? So what's one thing that you remember that we talked about?
Keeping the tempo.
And we have to do that in most all of our pieces, right? That's something that even professionals still work on, right? So keeping the tempo, even while we're thinking about all of the other things that we're doing. Do you remember
The
anything else we talked about?
staccatos.
Yeah, be really, really careful about the staccatos. Do you remember anything else?
The mezzo forte,
That's pretty good.
piano, the difference.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. I'm glad it all sunk into your head. That's pretty quick learning. So giving us the difference between the sections of when we're really excited about the snowball fights and the lights and the presents, and then and then their birthday things and lots of other fun things to talk about. Okay. And then the other thing, and this will be something that you work on for the rest of your life while you're playing piano, is that feel of the waltz. The heavy light, light, heavy light, light, heavy light, light. Okay. And that's something that will come up in all of your waltz pieces for the rest of your life as you keep working. And you can practice in the secrecy of your own bedroom if you don't want people to see you dancing. But I like to do dancing to waltzes in 3/4 time. I won't do it right now because I'm kind of locked in with my computer. But if you do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, you can do a heavy light with your steps also, and that kind of helps you feel it in your body. Okay. Do you have any questions for me? No. Thank you so much for playing for me. Wonderful job.
Great job, Olivia. That was fun. Up next, we'll have Kinsley, who's going to play Symphony Hall for us.
Sorry, I started on A instead of G.
That's okay. Well done, Kinsley. Thank you. Now, what time signature is your piece in?
3, 4.
3, 4. And what was I just talking with Olivia about?
How 3's a waltz.
Yeah, this one doesn't say it's a waltz, but we can kind of guess that it's a waltz feel because of how it's written. And because the left hand has the forte and then the right hand has those little notes that it sticks into at a piano dynamic, right? So let's do a little bit of the same thing that I just did with Olivia. Your left hand is beautiful. I can hear the melody clearly the entire time, which sometimes students struggle with, to play the melody in the left hand clearly. You're doing great with that. So what I'd like you to focus on is a little bit lighter in your right hand. So if I play, that's a nice full sound in my left hand, right? When I get to my right hand, and it might seem like you're playing it too softly, but nothing else is happening. So we'll hear the right hand. So can you play just your right hand really gently? Yeah, I heard that very clearly. Did you hear those notes? Okay, now let's put in the left hand. Kinsley, let's stop there. That's okay. Let's stop there for a minute. Your first one was excellent. The second one, what I heard was the right hand started off very soft, but then it kind of held into what the left hand was doing. So let's just do them one at a time. Can you find in measure 3 where it says hall?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see that? So let's play left hand, hall, and then the right hand very light, and stop there. Excellent. Now can you find where it says here? 2 measures later, or 1.5 measures later? Okay, so we're going to play here, light, light, light. Good. Now keep going with your eyes to where it says played. Now we have to skip a few measures to line 3. It says all. Good. Where's the next one? You find it this time.
Stay in measure 13.
Exactly. Can you play that? And the next one?
All.
Mm-hmm. Good. And then the ending's a little bit different. Let's work on these last 2 because you're getting the balance really well. I'm hearing the left hand nice and full, and I'm hearing the right hand really soft. So let's connect a little bit. Let's start in measure 13. Stay. All. Day. And you don't have to play the last 3 notes. Just play the day.
Sorry, I can't.
That's okay. Take your time. Good. Very good. Now we're going to play just those 2.5 measures one more time. And we're kind of working on something else also, just keeping the tempo really steady. But you're doing a great job with the balance. So the left hand has to kind of think ahead while the right hand's playing. So let's see if we can do just those, is it 7 notes again? And keep that left hand really nice and steady. Good. Can you try something for me, Kinsley? You seem like you learn things very quickly, so I bet that you don't need to look at the music for that last little bit, right? Your right hand's playing the same note. And what's the left hand doing? How can you help yourself remember that?
It goes down and step up.
Yeah, it just skips down. It kind of, I always think of that pattern as kind of like a circle. It circles and then comes back. So can you play without looking at the music? wonderful. That was so smooth, and there were no hesitations at all. Do it one more time. Make sure it's stuck in your fingers and your brain. When you did something that time that I didn't even tell you to do, that was perfect. You made that last note in the left hand just a little bit softer because it's the end of the phrase. That was perfect. Can you do that every time? Awesome. Let's go back. I do want to work on the ending a little bit, but let's stay focused on the difference in the sound between the hands for now. So the reason I had you stop looking at the music is I think the actual notes themselves were getting in your way, and you knew what it was supposed to sound like, but sometimes looking at the notes and thinking about all the things we're trying to do musically makes it much more difficult than just saying, I know what I'm supposed to do. Can you go back to the very beginning? And will you actually start from the very beginning, and I'll have you stop if we need to, okay? Excellent. And your ending was even smoother this time than the first time you played through. Can we check something on the word cellos? Measure 9. And usually I wouldn't point this out, but you've done it a couple times, so I just want to make sure that you see what the rhythm is there. What is that rhythm? Does it look familiar? Have you played it before in this piece?
At the beginning.
It's exactly the same. The reason it sounds and maybe feels a little bit different is because we have those 2 notes before it. I'm going to play what I hear you doing, and then I'll play this one, and you tell me what's the difference. Here's what I hear you doing. I'm starting on I think. Okay? And here's the number 2. Did you hear a difference?
One of them, the part of the cellos was longer.
Uh-huh. And is it supposed to be longer, or is it supposed to be shorter?
Longer.
Yeah. Okay. So just that's something, again, like I said, I think it's just, it sounds a little bit different in your head. I know you can fix that, so we won't spend time on that. Can we go to, but I just wanted to point it out. Can we go to the very ending, which you did beautifully this time? And let's do. That might be too much time, but I think you can take a little bit more time than you took because of that RIT that's there. Do you know what that means, the RIT?
Retardando.
Uh-huh. And what does that mean in English?
Slow down.
Yeah, exactly. So can you just play maybe at the I could stay all day, and then really take your time on those last 3 notes and the crossing over. Yeah, that was beautiful. Really, really. You're doing amazing things with this, Kinsley. Like I said, it's really difficult to play nice, even melodies in the left hand, and you're doing that really well. You've got the balance now. If you can keep that going as you play this piece, and like I told Olivia, any other waltzes that you might have, you want that. We call that the boom chuck. So if you have boom chuck, chuck, the chuck is always lighter than the boom. Okay, so think a little bit lighter on those right hand chords, and then just taking your time with the ending, so that we don't rush through it, because we're staying all day at the symphony. Okay. Do you have any questions for me, Kinsley?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much for playing for me. Excellent job.
You're welcome.
Great job, Kinsley. Up next, we're going to have Charlie. He is going to be playing the creatively named Allegro in C. So anytime you're ready, Charlie.
Well done. I had to unmute so I could clap, but very nice job, Charlie. This is such a fun little piece, and it doesn't, you're right, Dr. Rushing's correct. Allegro doesn't tell us much except, oh, we're supposed to play it fast and lively, right? What is the most difficult part for you on this piece?
Probably the whole third line. I've been working on it numerous days now.
That is definitely the trickiest part. Now we're going to work on a couple things, maybe technically and also physically, that will help with those lines, and it will also help with the 16th notes in the first line and the first measure and the third measure, making sure they stay really even. The first thing I'm going to ask you is to maybe move your body back from the piano a little bit. What I see is that your arms are a little bit close. And when we have, if our arms are too close to the keyboard and too close to our bodies, it makes it a lot harder to move our fingers more quickly because everything's restricted, okay? And then the other thing I want you to think about is, has your teacher ever talked to you about rotating your wrist?
Great, yes.
Yeah. Tell me what you know about that, or when you use that.
Okay, not much.
Okay, that's fine. So I think of rotating my wrist as like opening a doorknob. You turn a doorknob. And it shouldn't be anything that you're forcing. It should just kind of follow the direction of what you're playing. So this is actually, in line 3, this is a perfect example of where we would use that rotation, where I'm kind of bouncing off that first note. You can you see my wrist okay? Let me put my screen down maybe. Can you see my wrist here? Where I'm kind of bouncing off the first note. Now, eventually, I'm not going to put that accent, but for now, can you practice it? Can you play it that slowly and with an accent on that first note? And then the others just kind of bounce off. Good. What I'm seeing, and it might just be the camera, but what I'm seeing is down, and then your wrist kind of stays down, and I don't see it moving. Do you see how mine is kind of doing a circle? try that and focus? I don't even care what notes you play. If you can play whatever. I just want to see down and then kind of a rotation. Good. That was much better. Now you have to be careful. We're gonna take it back a little bit, because what I saw happening this time is more of your arm, and we don't want to do too much. We do want our arms to be flexible, but we don't want to do too much with our arms, because then we lose control of the fingers, right? So can you do the same thing? That was much better. Can you do the same thing, but think of it just kind of in this area? How did that feel?
Better.
That looked really good, and it sounded really nice and smooth also. Now, this sounds really backwards, but another way that we practice to get 16th notes even is by changing the rhythm, which doesn't make any sense in your head, but it works. So what we're going to do is I'm going to change it to a dotted rhythm. So it's going to sound like this. And I'm going to keep the same wrist motion. Can you do that? Do you want me to play it again so it's more comfortable? Or
Okay.
you got it?
I think I get it.
Okay, go ahead. That was beautiful, and your wrist looks perfect. Your wrist looks really, really nice now. Now I'm going to change the rhythm again. Do that one? Yeah, go ahead. That was great. How did that feel?
Good.
That one's a little bit awkward, isn't it? That rhythm. It's okay if it doesn't feel good, right? We're kind of stretching things and doing things that are different. That's okay.
Interesting.
It does sound interesting. It kind of it makes your fingers and your brain think about things in a little bit different way. Now let's go back to the rhythm that's written, just straight 16th notes. And this time I took away the accent. Okay, I'm just doing one long line. That was very nice. That was nice and smooth. Now I have a question for you. If I'm looking at those two measures, it's basically 4 groups of notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the first group, what's the most important note?
I can't quite.
Are they all important? Okay, that's fine. So the thing with music, the thing that makes music really difficult and also really special and cool, and why each person's performance sounds a little bit different, is we have to decide what's important. And sometimes it's the composer makes it very clear, or because we know the style of music, excuse me, because we know the style of music, we know what's more important than some other things. But that's something that you'll be doing. Like I just told your sister, she'll be doing the waltz for the rest of her life. You'll be doing this for the rest of your life, figuring out what's most important. So if I were simplifying this line, I would just be playing the first note of each group. That's really the melody. The rest is the frosting on the cake. It's just some ornaments to make it a little bit fancier, okay? So what I want you to do is we're going to speed up the tempo just a little bit, not quite to your Allegro tempo, but think of those notes, the first note of each group, as the most important, and the other ones are just decoration. Can you try that? Do it one more. That was really good. Do it one more time. Can you go to and play the C, the downbeat of the next measure, just so you get used to it resolving? That was excellent. How did that feel in your hand?
It felt interesting.
Interesting. Did it feel smoother at all? Like your fingers were freer? Yeah. I think where you're sitting gives a little bit more room. And I think thinking of not every note as important also helps. Now let's do it one more time. And this time try to take away the accent. So this, when you played it just now, I still heard a little bit of, we don't want it to be an accent. It's more like just a little bit of emphasis, but not a full accent. That was amazing. That was wonderful. Can you play that? Let's see. How fast were you doing the beginning? I've lost your tempo. Can you play just the opening?
Sorry.
Yeah, okay. So you've already gone faster you've already gone up to tempo there, okay? So what I'd like you to do now is let's take those two measures with a little bit and add in the left hand, okay? And as much as possible, focus on the right hand rotation and try to keep the left hand. The left hand's just giving us this kind of, it's like the tuba. It's giving us this nice harmony underneath, but we don't need it to be, it doesn't have to be super strong. It's just kind of there to help. What happened that time? Do you know?
No.
So I think your rotation stopped. Maybe slow it down a little bit and see if you can focus on the rotation with the left hand. That's okay. Just try one more time. We won't stay on this. Yeah, so it's hard to change things like that right on the spot. This is a completely different way of thinking about moving your hand and your body and things like that. So this is something that you can practice on your own. We won't spend any more time on it right now. But the 16th notes, I don't know if you can hear it, but they sound so much smoother and more even to me now. Okay, so you can think of the wrist rotation. Always make sure you're sitting far enough back that your hands and your arms aren't stuck to your body. And then you can change the rhythms. Do you remember how we did that? And you can do the same thing if you ever find that the first measure and the third measure aren't feeling totally even. You can do those same things. It's a smaller circle because we're going back and forth, but you can do those same things to make sure that the 16th notes stay even. Okay? Do you have any questions for me, Charlie?
No.
Does that all make sense? I know it's kind of weird things to think about, but it's going to help you as you get into pieces that have faster notes and that have more notes at one time. You have to think of ways to keep your body relaxed and to make the 16th notes really smooth, the fast notes, whether they're 16th notes or something else, really smooth and even, so that it doesn't so that we're always hearing the character of the music rather than the oh, that's a lot of really hard notes. Okay, so just really be aware of what your arm and your wrists are doing as you're practicing those sections. Okay, really nice job. Thank you for playing.
Thank you.
Good job, Charlie. Up next, we have Landon joining us from Louisiana, and he's on a wireless connection, so his connection might not be as good, but we're going to do what we can. So Landon's going to be playing Joio's third sonata, the first movement. You ready, Landon?
Hey, can you hear me? Because I'm hardwired now, so I don't know if that did a difference, but okay.
I can hear you great.
Do I play all of them, or do I stop in between?
Go ahead and start now, and yeah, I might stop you if that's okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and play through for now.
Okay.
Great job. Really, really nice. And such a fun piece. I've never played this one before, but so many different characters. I love how you are bringing out different parts in each variation. So bravo. Really, really nice job.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to, we probably won't have time to go through every single variation. So I want to talk about a couple general things that I see, mostly in the like 1, 3, and actually 5 also. But I have to say, I'm pretty jealous of I can't reach those chords in the opening of the second with 1, so I'm jealous of that. Nicely done. And this is something that usually over technology, I would say I'm not sure. It might just be the sound connection, but I'm also looking at your body. And so I think what I'm hearing is connected to your body more than the technology. And I haven't played this, like I said, so I'm not going to frustrate you with hearing me try to pound these things out. But one of the things that I see in your body when you're doing these a little bit louder, and let's focus on, I guess, 1 and 3 for now, I guess more energetic variations, is your shoulders are tightening up. Have you ever heard Dr. Rushing say that before? Yeah, okay, so this is something familiar. Your shoulders are tightening up, and I see a lot of down attack, which comes across in the sound of the piano that you're projecting. So we always want to think forward in our attack, but also in how we're leading through physically through the phrases. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right now I see a lot of like I'm not gonna play it at tempo, but whatever, and then I see down, and I want to see more where you're kind of you're not pushing in because that takes too much time and energy, but it's a little bit more of a forward and more of a lift when you're playing than just a down. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Can you try that's a horrible variation to even try it on. Let's do it with you know what, let's actually go to the 5th variation, because it was the same thing in there, and that one's not technically as aggressive. But what I'm hearing in the chords and what I'm seeing in your body when you're playing the chords is very, very down. And I want to hear, when we want to get a fuller sound, it needs, again, be forward into the keys. I can still get a full sound. By moving my hand and body in the direction forward and in the direction of the phrase, and it doesn't sound as aggressive as if I'm just doing down. Can you do the opening of the 5th variation?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Is this something you've worked on before?
Not really.
Not really.
Not a whole lot.
I think one of the things that when we start playing things that are fast and energetic, we get so excited about playing with lots of sound and lots of energy and lots of excitement. And we forget that we also can make lots of different sounds and colors, and that makes the music just as exciting. So the other thing that you can do with playing thinking forward more is you can get different sounds from the piano. So if you want it to be like the top voice, if you want the top voice to be more sparkly, you might use a little bit more just finger. Or if I want it to be, if I want to be a little bit fuller, I'm going to lean into the keys a little bit more. And see, I'm still doing that wrist rotation that I was talking with Charlie about. And so be careful that you're not just thinking this way with the sound. Let's do this also in, you know what? Let's do the first variation. Actually, can you start the first variation for me? What did you do differently? Because that was that had a lot more musical direction than when you played it the first time.
I guess you're talking about it.
What did you
Made me think to play it more. I focused more on that stuff this time.
Yeah, because that was great. And you know what happened?
Yeah, I didn't do it the first time.
Also.
I didn't do it the first time.
Yeah, that was great. That was really nice. And because the thing I was going to work on with you is making sure those eighth notes had direction and weren't just blah, 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 like that. But you did it that time. That was really beautiful. So make sure. So we're going to go back and do it a little bit in the theme also to make sure the theme has direction. But with all of these variations, make sure that it's and I didn't mean that you said it like plop, plop, plop. I was just exaggerating. Make sure all the variations have direction, forward direction, not just power. Okay. Can you start? I don't want to hear the whole theme. Can you
5?
Measure 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, can you start measure 5? That's perfect.
And to where? Sorry.
I'll probably stop you after about 6 measures.
Okay. So
Good. That's fine. Good. Landon, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. So this is already also better than the first time you played it through. But be careful in measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Measure 6, where we start to get this more chorale texture. We have the 4 voices going, that we really hear that top voice, because that's what all the other variations are going to be built off of, right? So how can you work on, or how have you practiced really bringing that voice out?
I don't know if right there, I think I get so worried, like, here comes all the notes. Worried about getting the notes. But I don't know a technical way I would practice it, but.
Okay, so here's one of my favorite tricks for practicing voicing in a place like this is you want to use the fingering that you're going to use, but the inner voice is going to you're going to attack them at the same time, hold the note that you're trying to bring out, and then make this bottom note staccato. So your hand gets used to doing 2 weights of attack at the same time. So I might do. Can you hear the difference in the attack over the stream? Does it come through? Okay. Can you try that one time? It might not work successfully the first time. It's something you kind of have to. Oh, I didn't hear you that time.
Sorry, I keep accidentally clicking buttons. I'm muted.
It's okay.
I'm good.
Can you try that? Just that measure?
Just the right hand?
Yeah.
Or both hands? Okay.
Just the right hand is good.
Oh. I think we have a delay. So I keep talking over you.
That's
Ooh. Now I think I'm making the left hand stick up.
yeah. It's tricky. It's tricky to do, especially right away. But that's going to help you bring that out. And then the other thing to be careful of in this theme here is that where the left hand is where you're jumping and you're not reaching the full tenths. There were a couple that you're not reaching the full tenths, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be careful that those don't interrupt the line. Okay, so like. You want it to kind of build and I would bring out I like the thumb there, but you can think about it and see what you like there and talk with Dr. Rushing about what he prefers, but pick one of the notes as the emphasis and kind of build with that to go along with the right hand phrasing. Does that make sense? Because what I heard the first time was where it just I could tell, oh, he's breaking up left hand chords here, and I really want it to fit inside the texture of the right hand. Okay, we could spend hours on this piece. It's such a great piece.
Yeah.
You're doing really, really well. Be aware of your physique, especially as you start doing more challenging and advanced pieces. You don't want this tension to start building in. Okay, so really be aware of that and always thinking musically. Everything you do should be about the musical phrase and the musical sound that you're trying to create.
Thank you.
Okay, nice job. Really good work. Yeah, thank you.
Good job, Landon. Up next is our final performer today. Leah's going to be playing Debussy's Clair de Lune. Anytime you're ready, Leah.
Beautiful job, Leah. Very, very nice. This is one of my favorite pieces of all time. So I could talk about this one for about 4 hours, but we don't have time for that, or Dr. Rushing will not be happy with us. So I'm going to pick just a couple things to talk about, but you're doing a really, really nice job. Have you played any other Debussy pieces, or is this your first one?
I'm playing another Debussy piece called Jimbo's Lullaby.
Okay, great. So one of the things in Debussy's music that we really tried to play around and explore with are colors. And I think you're actually doing a really nice job with that. So we're not going to talk about that today. You can always expand the range of colors that you have and that you're using. What I thought I'd talk with you about today is rubato. And what can you tell me about rubato and what it is and why we use it and when we use it?
It's
Do you know what it is? Oh, go ahead.
It's a give and take rhythm.
It is, exactly. It literally means rob time, right? And where anything we take, we have to give back. And one of the things that I I hear you doing sometimes is something that I struggled with when I don't know that Dr. Rushing was in my studio yet, but I remember playing a Chopin piece, and our teacher saying, there's no point in using rubato if it all sounds the same. If your rubato becomes predictable, then you don't need to use it. Okay, yours isn't as far as that. I think you're playing with it a lot more than I perhaps was. But I'd like us to look at maybe why we're using it and when we're using it, because sometimes it seems a little bit it seems like it's not as natural as it could be. Okay, so can we look at, and you probably have a different edition than I do. Okay, so this is, you play the whole opening, and then you get to a part that says tempo rubato, right? You know where that part is? Okay. So what I heard in this part, and again, part of it might be connection, but what I heard in this part is when you got here, it immediately just went faster, which is not the same as rubato. Okay? So you don't have to play it exactly like I do, but generally when I'm thinking of rubato, I use the analogy of a car. And when you're driving a car, you if you're stopped, you don't just push. You're not old enough to drive, are you?
Yeah. I am.
Oh, you are? Okay. So if you're stopped and you want to start the car going, do you push the gas pedal all the way down to the floor immediately, or do you do it gradually?
You do it gradually.
And what about when you want the car to come to a stop? Is it better to do the brake gradually or all at once? Gradually also. So I think that kind of compares to how we're doing rubato also. So I tend to think of, we might start off a little bit slower, push more as we get into the middle of the phrase, and then pull back as we come to the end of the phrase. Okay? So here's just an example of what it might sound like. And here it tells us to keep speeding up. So here I might push more, right? And that's where we're trying to get this whole section to take us to. Those rolled chords right there. Okay? Can you try this section for me one more time and think of it more as gradual give and take, at least until we get to the più a più anime section. That was so much better, Leah. I don't know how it sounded to you, but to me it sounded much more natural. I have a question. Are you using your sostenuto pedal at all in this section? I can't see your left foot. It doesn't look like your left foot is doing anything.
I'm using it at the very beginning until you get to the tempo part.
Okay, so you are using it to hold those left hand bass notes?
No.
Oh no, okay. So what I would do in this section, have you ever used that? Does your piano have a middle pedal?
Yes.
Have you ever used it before?
No.
Oh, this is so fun. I love pedals. Yay. Okay. So what you're going to do is take the left hand, the E flat, the first E flat there, and put your left foot down on the middle pedal. Now lift up everything. You can wave your hands around and it's going to hold it forever. Okay? Now, what this does is it allows us to pedal with the tempo pedal the other stuff that's happening so it doesn't get quite so mushed together. So I'm holding this with my left foot pedal, and then I'm pedaling this on every harmony change. And then I can do the same thing again. Now I have to do two hands, and I have to do left pedal. Now I pedal with the right. Do you want to try it? I love pedals. Pedals are like one of my favorite things. Did your left foot lift that time? It might not have held it all the way through. So it's something you can work on. But this is a perfect section for getting used to doing two-footed pedaling. Okay? That's exactly, this section here is exactly what the sostenuto pedal is for. Okay, now we were talking about rubato. So let's go back to that. I think that's already better in this opening section or opening part of this section. Once you get to, does your score have più a più, crescendo, e anime written in there? So once you get there, I think you can think more like, okay, I'm pulling onto the interstate and I'm getting faster, right? So we can keep going a little bit more and maybe not slowing down as much. Each one is going to push forward a little bit. Sorry. And keep it going. And it can get bigger in sound too, right? Crescendo. And then you did a really nice job of slowing those last two chords down into that roll. That was great. I love that. But really keep the energy in the tempo and in the dynamics going all the way to there. Okay? Does that make sense? Do you want to try it again?
Sure.
I wouldn't pull back on the sound quite yet. I would let that first rolled chord be the arrival point. I think of that as like the high point, and then we start decrescendoing from there. That's so, to my ears, Leah, that's so much more natural. Something you can keep working on in this section. I know I'm going to get cut off any second, but something you can keep working on in this section and throughout is where you have where you're in the clear 9/8 meter, your tempo stays pretty consistent. Where it goes into the more duple feel, you tend to slow down. Okay, so try to keep that going through. Keep the overall beat consistent, and think of the direction of the phrase. You're doing such beautiful things with this. I love how you're taking time when the theme returns. You have really nice colors that you're using in here. I would, as you keep working on it, go through, really be clear on the voicing, making sure we always hear whatever the melody is at that moment. Sometimes it's buried in the midst of all sorts of notes, right? So you want to be really clear about what you want the audience to listen to. And then as you go through and play around with the rubato, think about what are your high points of the phrases. We want to always go to there and then come away from there, rather than sudden motion or deacceleration. Is that a word? It's a word now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for me?
No.
Really nice job. A great piece. And play around with that pedal. It's going to help you a lot in this piece. There are several places where you can use it, but especially in that one. Okay. Thanks so much, Leah. Great to hear you play.
Thank you.
Good job, Leah. Hannah, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
This
This
went
was
so well. I know you're busy, and you said you got rehearsals and recording later, but
this is the highlight of at least the day, if not the week and the month and the year. This is fun. I love doing this. So thank you.
So much fun. Thanks.
Cool.
All right, we'll see you later. All right.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.